the Nelson Rushi College of Business. So she said I'm the vice chair for community development for the chamber, but I'm also the interim dean for this college. So welcome to my building. This is where I come every day. So I teach marketing, and so sometimes they let me come and moderate panel sessions. And so we'll do the panel discussions, introductions in just a second. But I do want to just say welcome to the college. This room right here is our Walter Namola Innovation Hub. And so this room is usually set up somewhat similar to this, but these dry erase boards on one side and on the other side is a television. Those are usually set up at the end of each of these tables. And what students typically do when they come in here is they work on projects. They have dry erase, they can throw ideas on the board, or on the back side they can plug their Surface Pro tablet or computer, press play, and it goes on the screen, and they can work on simulations and things like that. So this is a hub of activity for our college. In the back, you can see there's a conference room for students to be able to use, and in the back corner over here is what we call our one-button studio. And so this is an opportunity for students to show up, plug in a memory stick, USB drive, press play, lights and camera comes on, and they can practice presentations. Their pitches for new ideas or presentations in class. So this is a space where students heavily use it. So I'm so excited to have you guys in here as one of the highlights of our building. Another highlight that is out of our College of Business is our entrepreneurship program. And so I want to introduce Matt Smiler, who's with the Arnold Center for Entrepreneurship. Tell us a little about ACE.
Thank you, Dr. Reese. As Dr. Reese said, my name is Matt Smiler. I'm the director of the Arnold Center for Entrepreneurship here at SFA. We are a truly cross-campus, interdisciplinary center and resource available to every single student on campus, regardless of their major, their discipline, their thought process, their age, their demographic, whatever it may be. If they have entrepreneurial thoughts, we're here for them. I'm a firm believer that every single person on this earth is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship to me is about pursuing opportunity. You all being here today is entrepreneurial. You're pursuing opportunity. You're wanting to find out more. Does this little side hustle that I have, can it turn into something more meaningful? Can I make this my main hustle? Can I use this to go on vacations? Whatever that may be. You've taken that first step, which is sometimes the hardest things to do. We at the Arnold Center help not only students, but our community as well figure those steps out. What resources are available in our community that we can point them to or guide them with. We do that through workshops such as, and speaker series such as this chamber event. There are East Texas Business Accelerator, which there are some of you here that are taking part in our cohort this spring. To helping other community members at different stages of their businesses, to networking, to connecting, however we can connect A and A to make B for anyone in our community. We're excited you're here. We're excited to be this partner and this resource for the Chamber, for the Rushi College of Business, and for SFA. And we stand ready to help anybody that wants to take that next step in their business. You're going to hear great ideas from our panelists today. Maybe it's going to spark something you hadn't thought about earlier. Maybe you just came as a casual observer, a supporter, then all of a sudden like, well, maybe I can do something about this idea, or I can solve this problem or solution. That's what entrepreneurship is about. That's what taking that side hustle is. Every single business that has ever been started in the history of man has been somebody's side hustle. They thought, let me tinker with this hobby a little bit more, until someone says, hey, I'll pay you for that. And then two people say, and next thing you know, you have Apple. Or you have a top 50 barbecue restaurant in the state of Texas. All did pretty cool. So with that, I don't want to take any more time from these panelists and hear their amazing insights on how you can grow your side hustles. And I'll turn it back over to Dr. Reese to lead the moderated session.
Awesome, thank you. So what's great about being a moderator of a panel is that I don't really have to do much talking. They get to do all the work. And so I appreciate you all being here. Let's talk a little bit about the format of what we're going to do, and then we'll let you guys do some introductions. So I've given them a series of questions around this topic of your side hustle. We're going to start a little bit at the beginning of how did you start, talk about decision making throughout the process, how do you scale it, and so on and so forth. What's great about our panelists today is that they're all at come from different perspectives and at different points within their side hustle. And so that's kind of what we're going to get at today. But I also want to make sure you know this is a very informal session, so don't feel like you can't speak up. We have these questions. I'm going to try to throw them for a loop. I'm kidding. They may throw you for a loop. But if you do have questions throughout, feel free to ask them. It might jog an idea Try not to get too detailed in your own side hustle. We can do that offline. But if you have general questions, feel free to just raise your hand. We can take questions too. So, oh, housekeeping. I forgot to say that. Obviously, there's food in the back, but in case you need to use the restroom, the men's restroom is right there by that staircase, and ladies' restroom is out the back by the other staircase. So feel free to come and go as you please. All right, well, let's get it started. Quick introductions. Tell us about, your 2-minute pitch of who you are and what was or is your side hustle.
Yeah.
Sure.
My name's Brendan Todd. My side hustle was Brendan's Barbecue. I was the sales director for Chick-fil-A, and I had a passion for food, and so I pursued barbecue. That was a catering company, and there was a food truck, and it was a brick and mortar. There's my pitch in 30 seconds or less.
I'm Chelsea Mouton, and I married into the Mouton family. I'm married to Earl's son, Scott, and they were already talking about the winery when I married in, and then it happened. And we kind of all fell into our own sort of roles. So that's what happened to me.
All right, I'm Earl Mouton, also known as Buzz. That's what I usually go by. So, we started this winery years and years ago. It's not really a side hustle, but it started out that way. So, I'm one of 4 owners. We have me, my wife, Chelsea, and our son Scott. So, look forward to this panel meeting.
I am Brent Ivey. Born and raised in Nacogdoches. Graduated high school in 2002. Thought I would never come back home except to visit family. And my wife and I, she's from here too. We moved back in 2016. Best decision we ever made. I'm an attorney by trade. My own law firm was probably my first side hustle, which it's not a side hustle anymore. Current side hustle is Revolution Road Wood-Fired Pizza, which I get a heck of a lot more smiles from that than I do before. So, it's certainly more fun than my job, but that's my passion right now. So.
Oh, right on. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing tonight? Thank y'all for coming on out. My name is Johnny Lee Beavers. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. Got a chance to move to Nacogdoches to go to SFA. I saw somebody with a Purple Haze shirt, and I just had to get here. So t-shirt marketing is a thing, it works. I started a whole family here, met my beautiful wife, and by day, I'm a professional relationship banker at UBank. And I've been in the banking industry for almost 15 years, so I absolutely love banking and helping businesses and clients and people start up their new accounts and helping business owners as well. My side hustle is called Paradise Chasers Marketing. And with that, I get a chance to help small businesses, small, medium, large, organizations, real estate owners, enhance their online presence. So I use that. I use videography, photography, and aerial drone cinematography to do that. So I get a chance to make cool videos. I've been doing that for a while, and get to help people out at the same time, and it's a lot of fun. And I would do it for free. And my wife told me I need to make some money with it, so that's me.
Okay, awesome. So as you can see, we got a great panel, lots of different perspectives. Let's start with, how did it all start? So the question is kind of what inspired your side hustle? Was it a passion that you had, something you need to do out of necessity? You're frustrated with something else? Kind of what started it all? And we'll start with Johnny, we'll work our way back.
Yeah, great question. I would say out of passion. Even in high school, I graduated in 2005. In high school, I actually chose our last classes our senior year. They were like, hey, choose your electives. And somehow I chose graphic arts, thinking it was gonna be really easy, 1-day class. Turns out it was a 2-day class. It was every day of the week. I had to show up every day, and we had to do graphic design on Photoshop. So I learned Photoshop, and I was really good at it. Got a chance to make little designs and graphic designs and whatnot. People loved it. I'm like, okay, cool, this is a thing. Making CD covers for different people back in the time. And I just kind of kept on with it. Went to Stephen F. Austin. I joined this organization called SAA. Got a chance to be really involved in there, and I would sneak on the computer and making my own designs. And I guess someone saw me. They were like, hey, Johnny, you should be an officer. So I turned into an officer, doing programs. So I started doing programs and making those designs and making those flyers and helping with events. It's just something that kind of kept on And I've been just stuck with it. And I had a travel agency, or I was part of a travel company, and I was doing more marketing towards that. And it's just something that just kind of fell into. I was doing it for free. I loved it. And I recently just got a chance to, maybe a year ago, so just kind of really like, hey, let's do this. Let's make this a thing. Like, I've been doing it for free. Nacogdoches JCs, I got a chance to do those things for free, and I just decided to turn it into something. Like, it's been, and my wife told me, like, hey, you really good at this, let's make it a thing. I had my Paradise Chasers was originally the travel company I was with. It was the travel organization that I started, and I just kind of stuck with the name. Even on Instagram, you can find me, the Paradise Chaser. I still love that, and I just want to travel the world with it, and that's what I'm gonna do with this side hustle. I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna travel the world with it and continue doing stuff. And like I said, it's just something out of passion. I would do it for free if I could, and it's been helping. I had a chance to help a lot of people with it, and quite frankly, I feel like the best thing about it is that I'm a little different. As though if I do a service for you, it's pretty. I relatively have quick turnaround, within 24 to 36 hours, because I'll work on it immediately. As soon as I finish the shoot, I'll go home and start working on it. I'll tell them, hey, it'll be done in 48 hours, but I usually have it done within that because I'm always working on it, and I just have a passion for it. So I just keep doing it, and it's a lot of fun. I would do it for free, and I just keep going with it. That's it.
Shout out to the JCs, right?
Wow.
You're the JCs together.
Plug.
Yeah.
Right? No,
Hey, Brent,
turkey smoke.
What you got? What was your origin story?
So, let's see, I was an in-house attorney for 8 years. I started out as a litigator, and then I went in-house for one of my clients, and I was there for 8 years. During that process, I worked in Houston, Austin, and then we moved back here because the company I worked for had a office here as well. The family was from here. And, you know, of all the great things that we got in moving back to Nacogdoches, it mainly just being like getting a raise just by changing location from Austin to here. But one of the things that was lacking were options in food and entertainment and things like that. And one of our favorite things to do when we were in Austin was go to Jester King Brewery, which was out
Marble Falls.
kind of like Marble Falls or Dripping Springs area out there west of Austin, and they had this wood fire pizza place, and like we would go out there a couple times a month. And like when we moved back here, your pizza options, you're very limited to mainly your big chain fast food pizzas. And so we started we would have pizza making sessions at our house. We'd invite friends over. We kind of perfected a dough recipe, and that you get that people would say, "Oh, this is really good. You got a pizza place." And so I had the fortunate opportunity that my job as an in-house attorney, we started selling off most of the assets because the patriarch of the family was getting older. So we started selling off some of the harder working assets, and it got to where I had a bunch of deferred bonus compensation, and instead of taking it off and just leaving the company when we started winding down, I was able to basically just keep my paycheck going for like another year, to where I was only working about half the time. It was a deal I worked out with them. And the first goal was to start my own law firm, have enough time and income coming into where I could develop my client base. And then my wife and I decided, well, hey, let's also do a pizza place. And this was right with a full bar, and this was right before COVID hit, when we bought property and the COVID hit. And we kind of changed to, well, hey, what if people don't like this standalone wood fire pizza that's burnt on the bottom, charred or whatever, we build a restaurant like that. That can be really scary with all these businesses going under code. Like, hey, let's get a food trailer and let's try it out. If they don't like it, we can sell it to somebody in Houston or Austin or New York or whatever. And like, I kid you not. And so based on being able to spend more time and still make the same amount of money, I was able to work on starting my law firm and starting the pizza trailer at the same time. And so within 6 months of each other, I went out on my own law firm and we started the pizza trailer. And I kid you not, 2 months after we ordered the pizza trailer, I saw that Andy started cooking pizza out there, and my wife was like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? There's another wood-fired pizza place. We can't cancel the order, so we're just gonna deal with it. And so, you know, like, I think it took like 16 months to get that trailer, and I think we ended up opening at the beginning of 2022, and we had perfected a dough recipe using sourdough, and people really liked it. So, like I said, I like doing, you know, I like the smiles you get in food service. Sometimes it's a lot harder, but the reward is I don't want to say it's bigger, but you get smaller rewards along the way. It's a finite transaction, whereas, you know, some of my legal cases may drag on for 2 or 3 years, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna be done this, I'm gonna know what the result of my work is in a few minutes, and that's really rewarding, and it's just fun. And so I would work Thursday nights after my law firm. I would work the pizza trailer. Friday, I would not work at the law firm. I would work all day at the pizza trailer, all day Saturday. And so it just took a really understanding family and stuff to get going, and having that time and income coming in from my other job to be able to get it off the ground. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, my history goes back a lot further. 1972 is when my dad retired from the service and moved to this area of East Texas. My grandparents had already moved here, so he moved down here just to be close to them. And it was my last year of high school at that time. There was a lot of local fruit here growing wild, the dewberries. And my mom put up so much jelly, she was tired of them, but we had just hundreds of pounds of dewberries from the property that we owned at that time. And so I thought that I'd go ahead and try making some wine with it at 17 years old. So I was real popular on weekends for high school kids. They all wanted to come to my house, I don't know. Anyway, that's how that all got started. And I've been making wine as an amateur for all the way up until about 2010. But during that time, I was slowly entering competitions at the local level here. We had the Blueberry Festival had started back in that time, or in the 90s. And I was entering my blueberry wine and dewberry wine into the local competition here. And it was winning the People's Choice Awards year after year after year, until they finally got tired of giving me the award. And they shut down the wine section of that. I think TABC probably had something to do with that. Anyway, I also started entering it at the state competition for amateur winemaking, and I was taking gold medals there for my blueberry wine and my dewberry wine. And then I had wineries coming up to me asking me what my secret was to making the great wine, and I really didn't know I had a secret. You know, you don't make it under your kitchen sink in a crock pot. That's that will not turn out right. Anyway, and then I started just building up my equipment where I was buying 26-gallon tanks and then 50-gallon tanks. One of my very first batches of dewberry wine, I had it in a fermenter, and I had put too much fruit inside the fermenter. And if you know anything about the fermentation process, it gives off a lot of carbon dioxide. All that fruit starts floating to the top, and it got caught up into the airlock in the top of the fermenter, and it caused it to pressurize too much, and it exploded. And I was making this stuff in my mom's dining room at the time. And it was not purple painted walls at that time. The fruit went all over the ceiling, carpets and everything. So I spent the rest of the summer redoing the dining room. So, and it finally got into such a large operation that my son, who was going to college out in Florida, he was going to a digital media arts college. He left the college and could not find a job, because at that same time, DreamWorks and Pixar and all them big companies had laid off all their animators because animation back then in the early 2000s wasn't getting the revenues at the box offices. So he was competing against all these well-seasoned animators. So he came back home and sat down with me and asked and told me that he had a great idea for a business to go into. And that's when he suggested we start the wine business as a commercial venture. And so that's what we did. So I'm glad he found a place to spend all my retirement.
And so that's when I met Scott. We didn't know it at the time, but our first date, it wasn't our first date when we left to go, but it turned out, was to do soil samples. He kept pestering me. I was a graduate student in the forestry program here, and this guy kept bothering me about going to do soil samples. And one day I locked myself out of the house, and I was like, I can't go to work, I can't go to school. Like, if you come drive me to my landlord's house to get the key, then I'll go do a soil sample. So we did, and so that's when I met Scott, was at the end of 2009. And these people are talking about this winery and all this, and okay, do that. And so I graduated in 2011, and the recession was just so bad. And here I've got a master's degree in forestry, and all of the available jobs are only seasonal. A master's degree was required for almost all of them, but the pay was like $11 or $12 an hour, and you get to do like the forestry, like interpretation type stuff, but you also have to do building maintenance, clean the bathrooms, and general repairs at like all of the state parks. And it's seasonal. So you might get to do it for the summer, and then you have no job, and you gotta move around all the time. And so you can't pay for a master's degree doing that. So there were no jobs. I applied for 2 years after I graduated, and there's absolutely nothing. I never got a call back. And so all of that was going on, and you know, we kind of had to decide, are we staying here to do this, or I was applying for jobs like in Alaska and stuff at this point. Like, I was getting real broad, and you know, what's gonna happen. And so we just decided that we were gonna really commit to doing this, and we jumped in. So
I started Brendan's Barbecue as a need and a passion. I have a passion for creating things. I've been a little chef since I was 4 years old. I've had an obsession with cooking. And so in Chick-fil-A, I love the company and I love the business aspect. And I'll tell you, when I got into Chick-fil-A, I just love customer experience, but I didn't know anything about you know, labor percentages and food costs or anything like that. But as I worked my way up through the business, I fell in love with that stuff, with the numbers crunching and how to move the numbers and how to you know, get from that top line to the bottom line with the dollar. I was so fascinated by it. But Chick-fil-A, I loved creating experiences, and I found the more I did that high that I would get was getting smaller, because I was creating experiences with somebody else's product. And I found myself being unhappy with that. Not bitter, but just like not fulfilled. And I went to a place called Franklin Barbecue in Austin, and I just walked in and fell in love with the culture. I tell people, I've told the story a lot, but like the person slicing my food when you're in line with 300 people treated me like I was the only person in the restaurant, and I was like the only reason he had a job. And I related to that as a customer experience like provider. As a GM, I was a sales director at this point. I just fell in love with the barbecue culture. And I didn't leave that experience with the light bulb, oh, I gotta do barbecue in Nacogdoches. I was just obsessed with the food, because I love cooking. So I came home with this unhealthy obsession of like, how is barbecue that good in Central Texas? Like, you know, they said they just use salt and pepper. I couldn't wrap my head around it, so I had started buying books, and I hate reading. Goodness, I hate reading. But I would read books about barbecue and like the science of it. I'd watch YouTube videos, I'd go eat at places, and then finally got confident to start cooking just for fun. Like, I just didn't want to drive to Austin every time to go stand in line for 5 hours to get that fix for the food I really wanted to eat. And I just had this fix of, I need to know how to cook that, because I just love cooking. So I just got obsessed with barbecue. and I would cook a brisket, have nobody to feed it to. Like, what am I gonna do with a whole brisket? So I put it on Facebook, you know, friends come over. That just slowly grew. I'd cook a rack of ribs, and next thing I know, people are messaging me, hey, I got my daughter's birthday party, can you cook me a brisket? And I'm like, sure, I'll do it at cost. Just pay for the brisket. I get my fix, you get your fix. It's all good. And those kept coming in, and then this is all while I'm working at Chick-fil-A, and I had a great boss, and we'll get into it. I would love to share that part. But then I found myself catering weddings while being a GM at Chick-fil-A, and I catered my first wedding as Brendan's barbecue. It was just barbecue. There was no name. It was a family wedding, so it was a good excuse for me to cook a lot of barbecue and use the skills I had. You know, at Chick-fil-A, I was managing 75 employees. And at that point, I knew mostly everything I needed to know, like how to run a restaurant. So I just took those skills and just put it into this wedding. And so I hire friends, and I've got kind of my recipe a little bit, but that part wasn't important. It's just I created a system at a wedding. I just fed 100 people, and with product that I made, like seasoning and recipes that came from my mind. And when people are really excited and they're raving about it, I was getting that high that I wasn't no longer getting at Chick-fil-A. So there was a light bulb there. So that was the passion. I would say where the need came in, which the passion need, it's the same. I didn't want to leave Nacogdoches. My wife and I genuinely love this town. And when we graduated here from SFA, I still wanted to do Chick-fil-A. I was like, barbecue would just be just a side thing for fun. I'll give that up because Chick-fil-A is a huge opportunity. I'm fully confident that I could have had my own store. At that point, I was getting to work for corporate. So I get to fly to Atlanta, do training in Atlanta, Georgia at corporate. I get to go help stores that didn't have an owner, and I would train everybody there and help the new owner get his people in place. And I love that part. I love creating experiences and training and teaching. But we love Nacogdoches, and I needed a way to stay in Nacogdoches, because if I did Chick-fil-A, it'd be anywhere but Nacogdoches, because there's already a Chick-fil-A here. And at that time, I had a new boss. He's not giving up this really awesome location. So that catering got bigger and bigger, and then at some point, I remember I was stressed because I was catering like 3 weddings a month for a fall, and I had to buy a food truck just to keep up with the catering. And so Brendan's Barbecue kind of accidentally became Brendan's Barbecue. Accidentally, obviously I invested in it. But the need was, I want to be in Nacogdoches, and I found, I'll speed up, that barbecue that I loved having in Austin, that craft style where you slice it from and weigh it, that did not exist in Nacogdoches. And so I saw an opportunity. I saw a piece of the pie. I tell people there's a piece of the pie that nobody was eating. And I saw an opportunity. I was like, I'm gonna try to claim that piece of pie. And so we built Brendan's Barbecue with the experience that we do. The way we do it is unique. I mean, there's 4 other barbecue joints maybe in Nacogdoches. And not comparing, but what Brendan's Barbecue does is just a different style and experience you don't get hardly anywhere in East Texas. And so for me, it was, I saw an opportunity. I wanted to seize it, and I wanted to do my own thing, to create an experience that came from my heart and my mind as opposed to somebody else's product. I wanted my own product.
Awesome, cool. Well, so you mentioned your boss, so I'm gonna have a 2-part question for you guys, kind of combine a couple. One, we've kind of heard your origin story, and like Brent, I'll let you start here. You've mentioned this before. First question is kind of, how did you find the time to start your business while you were still working full-time? Let's talk a little bit about time management, and then if this applies to you, because a couple it may not, were you upfront with your employer about your side hustle, or is it something that you kept private? Why not? And so Brent, I'll let you start, and we'll come back this way, and John, I'll let you finish this.
You say Brent or Brendan?
Brent.
Brent, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I had kind of worked out an agreement with my employer when I was telling y'all that I backloaded some deferred bonus compensation so that I was still getting my paycheck. They knew that I wasn't working full-time. We just had an agreement that I was gonna receive my salary until a certain date. I was full disclosure to them that I was starting a law firm and I was gonna, go out on my own and offer concierge legal services to business. I was embarrassed to tell them that I was also gonna start a pizza restaurant because, I mean, in my line of work, I mean, how can you say, yeah, I'm gonna sell enough pizza to replace the job that I've invested, so many years of my life in and paid for an education for, my goal was not to start a national pizza chain or whatever, something like that. It's, I wanted to do it in this town. I saw a need to do it here, but I was kind of embarrassed, and growing up in Nacogdoches, you see that, at least historically, when I was younger, it's a lot different now, but like it seemed like the only thing that would ever stick around was like a Mexican food restaurant. We have tons of Mexican food restaurants, and anybody that tried something new is like, it may not be here very long. That was kind of whether it was true or not, that was certainly something that people thought in this community. And so I was scared to tell anybody that I was working on this thing because I thought people would just laugh me out of it. So, I mean, no, I wasn't completely honest about it, but it was more out of embarrassment than, not having permission or anything like that. And as far as finding the time, I just had a really understanding wife. And I didn't have kids at the time. So that, a little bit different than, Brendan, did you have kids when you started?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
awful.
I think you maybe had one.
I had one.
But yeah, it was a lot easier to find time to do things when, before I had kids. And some of you have heard me speak before, is that we're intending we bought property, and that property I told you I bought, we're actually gonna turn it into a food truck park with a full bar and a green space for kids. But like, that project has been on hold for almost 4 years now, not just because of construction cost and interest rate, but because I've had 2 kids during that time. I don't have that kind of time anymore, so, yeah. I had an understanding family, and, I wasn't completely honest about what I was doing, so. I didn't tell them that I wasn't working on Fridays so that I could go make pizza. I was embarrassed to tell them that, so, yeah.
How'd you find the time?
How'd you tell mom that you're gonna make wine after
A great idea, Mom.
It's dripping from the ceiling.
No, to find time to go from the amateur to commercial, I was working for a company here as their quality assurance manager. It involved a lot of international travel, so I was gone quite a bit. So finding the time to do anything with this venture was difficult at first. It was during business hours, which was a big mistake. I was on the computer researching supplies and ordering supplies and things like that for my venture. And back then, computers, I mean, they were in everybody's businesses back there, but I wasn't aware of all the routines that they could load onto your computer in the background. And some of them were key logging programs. And so on there ordering stuff, the CEO is getting messages about the sites that I'm visiting and my keystrokes, and I was emailing my wife, and, and then I would email my wife about the business plan, I want to work here another year, and that way I'll have enough funds to make the money to buy all this equipment, and I'll leave. Well, they saw all that, and so it didn't take long for me to be helped out the door. So that was a mistake. Finding the time, you don't want to do it during business hours. This company I worked for, they micromanaged every aspect of your life because I was doing international travel. They wanted me available day and night so that I could get on a plane and have to go to China or Korea or India to investigate some of the quality problems they were having at the factories overseas. So finding time on my own was difficult because I actually didn't have any time. I always had my business computer with me and I used it to do both. And that was a mistake, so. That pretty much sums that up.
Well, for Scott and I, so the winery officially got our license in 2016. And so there were years, in between where we were trying to grow grapes and all that kind of stuff. So Scott and I both had regular, like, full-time jobs. And just to be able to pay bills to stay in Nacogdoches while getting ready to open the winery. And we got our winery permit in 2016 and started making wine, and then opened in 2017. I think Scott quit his job in 2017. The winery got to a point where Buzz had to hire somebody, so he hired Scott. And so that was a blessing to, like, be at that point where we needed that other person. So that's how he transitioned from his job to the winery. And everybody knew at both of our jobs that the winery was getting started. So I don't think it was a surprise to our employers when we gave notice to quit to do the winery full time. I continued working in my regular job for several more years, which meant 40 to 45 hours a week at that job. Sometimes leave, go home, let the dog out, drive out to the winery, work, like, the winery opened at 5 at that time, work until 9 or 10, unless we were bottling them. Then it was work all day, drive to the winery, drop off some dinner, bring dinner, and then bottle all night, take a shower and go to work the next day. Like, that happened a few times too early on. So it was some long hours on those nights. And then, we were just, it was getting hard to do both as the winery needed more hours. And so Scott had been hired on, and then when I left my regular job, like, it was just to help. It wasn't to be on salary. We were just gonna live on, salary from the winery while it was getting started, and then just try to let that grow more. So that's what we did.
I'm very thankful for the relationships that I had, the relationship I had. The owner of Chick-fil-A allowed me to do Brennan's Barbecue on the side. So I'm a believer in just being transparent, if at all possible. I think if you're not transparent, you'll probably just get fired. So, for me, it was just having integrity with the person I respected the most, which is my boss. And knowing his heart and his passion, like his job, and he'll tell you his job is not really to own a Chick-fil-A. His job is to help people go be whatever they want to be, especially being in a college town. And so when Ramsey hears, my GM wants to own a restaurant, his job is to help that person own a restaurant, whatever restaurant it is. And so time-wise, I made sure that Brennan's Barbecue never affected Chick-fil-A. I will let Brennan's Barbecue suffer as much as it needed to in the beginning, because this is my bread and butter. Like, this is how I'm making a living, not Brennan's Barbecue. So this cannot suffer right now. That got to a point where finally it grew enough where, like, he made me quit. But because the finances were there. The time-wise, and your question was like, how do we make time for it? While I was at Chick-fil-A, I would pay a friend, hey, $50, just be at my house for 4 hours and don't let that firebox run out of wood. Like, keep the damper here, keep the fire going. I would work 6 in the morning till 4 p.m. at Chick-fil-A. Picture this like on a Saturday. Come home, like, stressing. I've probably had a friend or two at my house, keeping the pit going. I'd come home, get everything loaded with catering gear, and I'd go cater a wedding. And I'd be at that wedding by 5 o'clock, 5:15, and we carry that wedding till probably midnight. That happened a lot. So I just found a way to make barbecue work around Chick-fil-A. I never let it affect the priority out of respect and integrity, and it wasn't worth risking. If I got fired, well, Brennan's Barbecue's not there to keep me alive, so this is more important.
Awesome. Right along with Brendan, man. I was this is my job. No, I emailed him on Thursday to let him know I'll be here, and I didn't got an email back, so I think I should get it when I get back. And, no, I sent him, and I talked to him today, of course. No, seriously. I've been doing it for quite some time. It's been a side project, so even when we do like events for my different banks that I work for, they got a chance to see me like do some of the things I do. Like we'll have a project and I'll make a video. Hey guys, I can make a video of us doing Halloween stuff. And like, oh Johnny, this video is really good. So I got a chance to incorporate some of my passions and some of my videography in that inside of the bank. So they're like, oh, Johnny does that thing on the side. And like Brendan said, it never took place, or it's never the massive priority. It never took over my job. So I'm there for that reason, to handle business. So that never ever took over what I was doing, you know. So it was just always something on the side. When I found time to do it, really, it's 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whenever you get to work. I handle work business. After work, for that 5 to 6 time, you got time to hang out with family, eat a little bit, and then you really just got to get up from that 7 to 12. That time frame you have, that's the time you have to kind of work on your business. Granted, will you be able to focus, zone in the whole time? No, because you got to do your daddy duties, you got to do your husband duties, your honey-do list. You still got to do stuff, take out the trash, and the work needs this thing I thought of. Your job needs your skills, and at home, your family life needs your blood. They need you to take out the trash. My wife, yes, she wants me to be successful in my side hustle, but at the same time, I still have things I got to do. Stuff needs to be paid. So whenever I have time, that's when I fit in my Paradise Chasers thing. If I have an event, usually I'll schedule an event on a Saturday, early Saturday mornings, or immediately after work. You have to make time. And as we all know, we're all entrepreneurs in some sort. If you want to make it happen, you just got to do it. You got to make the time for it. And I feel as though the weekends were the best times. The late nights when 11, 12, I've got time to edit. I'll be on my phone editing while we're having conversations, or we're eating, or in bed. I'll be editing on my computer, whatever it is. Whenever you find time, that's when you have to make it happen. And sure enough, thankfully my wife's really understanding, and my job's really cool. They get a chance to let me do awesome things with the community, and I'll be quick to bring my camera. I'll make something, like for example, the Chamber Stars, a part of that, and I'll go out and visit different businesses. I'm like, hey, and I'll make videos for them, and I'm like, hey Kelly, check out this video. You think you like this? And like, oh yeah, post it. And like, so a lot of awesome support for the community and people I'm engaged with. So that's what keeps me going. Time, and you just have to make the time. Y'all know, anything in life that you really want to do, you just got to make the time. There's no such thing as having the time. You have to make it. And all these guys up here, I respect everything y'all do, and y'all make the time to make y'all's business come to life, and that's what we're trying to get on. And like I said, this is my job note. Yes, they've seen me in my capacity, and this won't ever take care of this won't take, unless I make $1 billion, then I'll eventually decide, hey guys, give them my pink slip, or give them my, but for the meantime, work is work, side hustle, and that's what I focus on. So I keep them separate the best I can.
I was going to add, I think working both jobs made me better.
Yeah.
Because out of respect for that job, like I think I worked harder as a GM while owning Brenda's Barbecue Catering as a side. I think I worked harder for Chick-fil-A and got more production for them because I cared so much, and I didn't want this to affect Chick-fil-A Nacogdoches. So I made sure that Chick-fil-A really thrived. And it taught me time management. It taught me to manage two things. I mean, if you can manage both, then when you jump ship, this is a lot easier to manage than just quitting and, all right, let's figure this out.
Yeah, and often, and usually your main job kind of fuels your side hustle anyway. So some of those contacts you may see, they may kind of overlap a little bit. Like, hey, you know what? We'll see somebody in the community and they may help, and they kind of overlap a little bit. So your primary job kind of feeds into your side hustle. So if you didn't have your primary job, you probably wouldn't have some of those contacts to those rub shoulders with certain people or be in certain organizations to get those contacts. You know, so I respect the primary job. The side hustles come second, and it's a lot of fun, and you just got to make the time, man.
I literally had people try to order a brisket from me
Really?
at the Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
It got messy.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, have any of you at any point sat down and developed a business plan during your process? And if so, you know, how well have you stayed with that business plan, or you found that you had to adjust on the fly, or
Good question.
how's that work for you?
Man, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, ChatGTP, you gotta use your resources. I've definitely like, hey, ChatGTP, I need a business plan, this is what I do, this is what I wanna do, time, and it will give you a pretty decent list. Of course, you have to make some adjustments here and there, and you try your best to go along with it, but some things just don't go according to plan, and some things sometimes you don't have the resources to do it. But I realize having a side hustle, you have to be resourceful. So you use the people around you, use connections, like talk to people. The hub right here, the Nacogdoches Chamber, we have stuff involved in the community that you can be part of. Those people, and especially here, for the students on campus, I wish they had something like this when I was a student, like this hub, non-existent. And the Chamber, super awesome resource. Just going there and just asking people and just doing your best you can, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You just gotta do what you can, really. So,
Business plans are important. But you can find a lot online, but to go through the exercise, it seems like, oh, I just pull one offline, to go through the exercise and actually think about what it's asking is a really good exercise, because if you ever are going to borrow money, you have to have a business plan. It's just like having anything else, personal guarantee, they're gonna require a business plan. So I think that's a great way to start, because it brings out things and highlights things like, oh man, I never thought about that. And I encourage anybody who does it, don't just draft it and get your loan and put it in a drawer. Take it out, look
So
at it,
living
update
ordinance,
it,
it's a living-
changes all the time.
living document.
Changes all the time, yeah.
In our business, the permitting has to be done so far in advance, because the property we have, we weren't gonna rent anywhere, because that would've just tied up a lot of money that we weren't gonna have available to start a winery. So we used our family property that my wife had inherited. It's a little outside of town. And as soon as we started developing this business plan for the winery, we went to the city and asked the zoning board whether it'd be all right, and they said yes, but you need to check with another department, county or something. And they explained that the property that we had, the family property, was in the dry part of the county, and that we would have to get we'd have to get it on the ballot to change it from dry to wet, and it was a very difficult process, but we didn't go that route. And they told us that to operate a winery in the dry part of the county, you have to manufacture your wine at that location and sell it only at that location. And so that's the route we took. But those are roadblocks that you could come up against that you don't realize you're going to encounter until you start getting out there and digging deep into the business plan. And so that's what we're doing. We can operate the winery as long as we sell our product there at the winery, and only our product at the winery.
So it's still dry.
That's still dry, yeah.
Yeah, the road is the dividing line.
The-
1878.
Yeah,
The
that's.
other side is wet. And so that's a kind of a weird deal. People don't understand why you can't have like beer and spirits on the premises, but it's a dry part of the county. There's just this loophole for Texas wines made on site with Texas grapes.
And to get the winery permit takes a year or two. So just starting that process has to be done early on, so you need a timeline for what you expect to accomplish.
And to be really flexible too, because we started with a tasting room where we could seat 12 people, thinking that people would come in, buy wine, and leave. And people came in, sat down with a glass of wine, and stayed. And so we could originally park 6 cars, thinking we'd have people in and out, for a few hours, and buying bottles to take home, and that's just not at all what the venue turned into. So now, on a Saturday night, there might be 200 people there. And,
Yeah, our
In the middle of
business
nowhere.
plan.
That's what I love about Naca Valley Vineyard. It's like,
Our business model to begin with, we just had the idea, like it was, most of the wineries were in the Austin area, and that you just get a bunch of tourists coming by during the day, and then at night they leave, or early on they leave.
Yeah.
But it's turned into about 20% new customers that's traveling through the area, and 80% locals,
Regulars.
regulars. And so we had to expand our business rather quickly, so our model changed overnight. The city booked a tour out there when they heard that we were gonna open up for business as a winery. We had just that little tiny tasting room, and so at least they gave us 3 or 4 months' notice. And we built decks all around the building and a place to serve wine outside, and there was like 80-something people on that tour bus.
My business plan was more of a, I didn't have like a formal Brendan's Barbecue, content. Mine was just a personal list of what do I need to learn before I do this thing. And so I knew my skill set was, how do I read a P&L, like a profit and loss page? How do I pay taxes? How do I pay sales tax? What taxes am I gonna be responsible for? How does this barbecue restaurant charge for brisket? Why? I mean, I had to learn those things, and I didn't just jump ship and like, oh, let me buy a food truck and I'll figure it out. I need to know what the food truck laws were in Nacogdoches. Lo and behold, they were very anti-food truck. I was the first food truck, and I was the guinea pig for Nacogdoches, which was fun and really hard. But the original law was you had to move physical location every hour. So if you weren't an ice cream truck, you couldn't exist. I mean, you can't open a lunch food truck at 11, close at 12, and change address. So that was an old law that was there for an unfortunate reason. Nacogdoches realized that that's just not needed anymore, and so they changed it. And that's what I love about the city at the time. So I had financial needs. Yeah, I didn't want to open Brendan's Barbecue with any debt. I didn't want to take hardly any loans. I wanted the minimal loans. So my wife and I said, okay, if we want to open Brendan's Barbecue by 2018, we have X amount of college debt. We need this paid off. And so we did Dave Ramsey, and we paid off our college debt in 3 years off of our part-time jobs. So I wanted as much freedom as I could, or I'll say less burden as I could, because you asked me if I had a kid. Man, I quit my job at Chick-fil-A, she quit her job teaching, and we had our first child, and we opened a food truck 30 days later in January with no other food trucks existing to know how they're gonna work. It's a smart decision looking back. I feel like it was the dumbest decision. I don't know, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that.
Kids still alive?
Yes, they multiplied, yeah, we got 3 of them now. For me, yeah, it was a financial goal, but I needed to know, okay, if I open Brendan's Barbecue, I need to make $4,000 a month. If I can bring home $4,000 a month before taxes, we can survive for a year. And at a year, if it's not grown by 10%, then we need to just figure out why. If in 2 years this isn't working, I'm going back to Chick-fil-A, and this was a fun adventure. So I had fail safes, but I knew where I needed to be by checkpoints. And in 2 years, we were brick and mortar. So I mean, it skyrocketed.
So, good question. I was gonna pause and let you know the next question I was gonna ask has a lot to do with the financing, the funding, which you kind of mentioned, but talk about that specifically and end with a couple other questions. But I wanna pause and go, does anybody have any questions that haven't been answered that you're like, I really wanna know about this? Okay. All right then. So let's talk about financing. We talked a little bit about business plan. We danced around financing. So the question is, how did you handle funding to start? Did you self-fund it? Did you take a loan? Do you have investors? Kind of was it something else? What was your funding model as you started your side hustle? Brendan, you were kind of talking about it already.
Just go back into it.
Yeah.
So again, I wanted to start with minimal funding. So the only loan I needed was the food truck. Everything else I would just auction and pay cash. So I saved up as much money as I possibly could in the years before I did it. From there going forward, again, I hate debt. I don't like debt. I don't like the risk. I'm pretty risk averse. So we just save up. I would say going forward, I never make a decision if Brendan's Barbecue is not financially ready for it. So if I can get a return on it within a year, I try to shy away from it. With the exception of I got to buy the building we're in. I'm not gonna pay that off in a year, but that's an opportunity I had to seize, so we did that. So having a relationship with a banker though is great. As we've grown, I've needed those funds. I pay everything I can out of the business, but as the business grows, things just get more expensive. Like more money, more problems. And so having a relationship with a banker has been tremendous. I can call my banker and text him, say, hey, have this come in. I don't have the money today, but you know, can I have X amount in the account? And he's like, absolutely. And within the hour, it's in my account. So having a good relationship is great. And then I would just encourage everybody, don't just take loans and just take what you need and figure it out without it. Never grow it more. Don't try and make your business what you want it to be in 5 years today. Like never make it bigger than it needs to be at the moment.
Let's ask the banker what he thinks. Sorry.
What's your answer? That's good advice. Please don't start.
Because you want me to pay that loan.
No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if you can help it, try your best not to start any business or anything with a loan, because you never know if it's gonna be successful. I mean, of course, you want to be successful, but stuff happens. And at the same time, it's like it depends on how big your passion is. Like, I really want this to work. I know I can pay it back. Hey, go for it. Take a chance on yourself. Like, because if you don't take a chance, you're gonna look back like, man, I could have did that if I would have just took out extra, took a loan, or if I would have did whatever. But just kind of know yourself and know your situation you're in. Me personally, with Paradise Chasers, my expenses, I only have to buy a couple things. I have a camera, I have my drone, I have my laptop, a lot of things I had already, a lot of household things. I kind of just used what I had. I got blessed to find a good opportunity to get a nice laptop somewhere. It's like maybe $600 or $700. I bought my drone. It could have been like maybe another $700. Just bought it gradually. I did do zero financing on something on Amazon, so that was cool. It was like zero financing, so you could just pay it off. So if you can find a good deal with zero financing or anything, hey, go for it.
You want to do a loan like that?
Absolutely. I don't know about zero, but we can get about zero. We can make something happen.
You heard him say zero.
Yeah, zero. That was online. It was like Amazon. So if you find some good deal like that, take that and just take that as a blessing. Just pay it back on time. But do you know your risk? With me, my as far as my equipment is relatively, it's all paid for, and a lot of things I use with my camera. Believe it or not, I use a lot of things with my phone. The phones are so good nowadays. You can do a lot of things with those because of course the megapixels and the 4K and the frames per second, all that stuff. So I can use my phone for a lot of things. I use my camera. My drone I use that a lot for a lot of different aerial shots, and that was relatively not inexpensive, but I made a nice investment on that. So. Yeah, and other than that, everything else is kind of pay if I need a lens or something, or if I need a cord or two. I was like, hey, Marco, let me go to the store, let me go to Walmart and get a new cord for this, or I'll just buy it as I need it. So not really top heavy with that stuff. It's just really time intensive, really just after you do a shoot, going home and just making sure I have enough time to do stuff and get it done in enough time so to make it return. But as far as that, loans wise, if you can get one and you're positive, I mean, go for it. That's my banker side, like, hey, come holler at me. And my business side is like, hey, stay away from it if you can, but if you need it and you know you believe in yourself and you know, like, hey, this is my shot, go for it. But just make sure you do have a plan in place to pay that all back, because they're gonna come knocking and they're gonna call, hey, what's up, buddy? How's everything going? I always say, if you don't think anybody cares about you or anybody's paying attention to you, stop paying your bills. I promise. Everybody will call you. You have all the friends. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Everything good? Like hey, we hadn't heard from you in a while. Send that the auto pay stopped. So cancel the auto pay and just stop paying your bills. You have all the friends in the world. They'll come check on you. But as far as business, make sure you pay it on time and make sure you have a good. You take care of yourself, and it avoids a lot of stress too. The last thing you want is having to pay people back. And we understand stuff happens, life happens, but as far as your business, you don't want to have that extra burden on top of yourself with a big load of debt that you can't pay back, and I gotta make this one project, or I gotta get this one deal, or somebody has to buy this for me to make, you don't need that. So that's a good thing, having a side project, so a side job or side business. You have your main job to take care of that. This is supposed to be supplementing your lifestyle. So use this to supplement and don't add extra burden onto yourself. What else? Yep, that's me on that one.
Anybody else?
Sure. Also I'll kind of throw in another aspect of that is not just with loans, but you can get capital in other ways, investments from partners and stuff. And really it depends on your situation, but I will say it is a heck of a lot easier to pay off a loan than it is to buy a partner. If things grow too much or you end up not getting a loan, is that even if you take out a loan, you're still 100% owner of that business. that debt doesn't last forever. You will eventually pay it off, but don't overextend yourself on that. We had a note on the trailer, like Brendan, that was the first thing I did was price out a trailer. Like, can I even afford this? Who knows what it's gonna cost? When we bought the property for what we're going, cause this was a whole food truck park thing in the making. We haven't got to the second part yet. We're just a trailer right now, but, if anybody remembers during COVID, they did some changes on retirement accounts and stuff to where they didn't have a penalty to pay if you withdrew money out early. And I had a bunch of old retirement accounts from previous jobs over the last 20 years to where maybe I had, $10,000 here, $20,000 here, and like I hadn't rolled it into an IRA and invested it with, my financial advisor. Like they were just sitting there that I'd kind of forgot. So I cashed all those out, didn't take a penalty on it, and that's what I used to buy our property with. So be creative and think about, you don't just have to think about loan or credit card. Credit cards are great short term if you're gonna pay that off. Maybe you need it this week and you can pay it off next week. It's not a good long term, but be creative, and having the banking relationship is key. I grew with my banker when I moved back here. He was just a loan officer at the time. Now he's the president of the branch, and I mean, a banker can really, really help you out if you have a good relationship. It's like having a good mechanic. Bankers can also help you direct your business plan as far as, hey, what do I need? They see them all the time, and so they can they're a good resource.
Yeah, they'll consult you. I mean, like I'm consulting a food truck that's opening because the banker said, hey, this guy's doing this. Would you come on and help him? I mean, they have all the relationships. So you come to them, they'll say, oh, you're dealing with this. We'll contact this guy. Here's his
They
number.
want you to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Dylan?
Yeah, absolutely. And to piggyback a little bit too off of not just using finances, but also if you have a side hustle, be sure to reinvest into your business. So once you make a profit or once you make money from something, don't just use it to pay off. So just to buy something else, use it to put back into your business. For example, one quick example, I had a real estate shooting I did, and I got something from that. I bought my cool shirts that I have on. Thanks, big shout out to Miss Janet at Unlimited Designs, wherever she is.
Right here.
Big shout out to Miss Janet. So I was like, hey, you know what? Once I get this, I'm gonna buy my gear. So I just kind of reinvest every time that I get something. So granted, you don't have to like get it all at once. You can slowly build yourself up just slowly build everything up. At some point, we always say we have to have everything to get started. I gotta have us first. I have to have this. This has to be aligned. Like no, just use what you got to get what you need, and just slowly build up whatever you need.
That's very true.
So.
Yeah, Brennan's Barbecue, when we opened it, it was a side hustle.
Mhm.
My wife and I had a rule of Brennan's barbecue money is Brennan's barbecue money.
Yep.
If it's a good month, it's not income. Like that money was used to stay in the account for buying better equipment for future stuff. It wasn't, oh, we had a good month, let's go out. Like it's like a baby that needs its own thing. I was not allowed to touch it.
Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, the initial funding we got for the winery, it came from that job that I was fired from. They gave me a pretty good severance package, and so it was only about half the money I needed to really get the commercial venture going. So I was trying to figure out how to double that money, and it just so happened my sister sends me a text saying, hey, there's a house in Dangerfield being foreclosed on. It's only at $20,000 if you put in a bid. It just showed up on the website, so probably if it goes any higher, don't worry about it. Well, I'd never looked at the house or anything. I sent the bid in. 2 weeks later, Fannie Mae calls me up and says, how would you like to pay for this house that you bought? And so I used some of that severance money to remodel that house, and it actually brought 4 times the amount of money that I used to remodel it with. So that was enough of the funding to get me started. So I looked for a little side avenue there to get the business model going. So that's how it just delayed it a little bit longer, because it took me a couple of years to remodel the house, but it was worth it. Gave us the funds. So.
All right, so we've got time for kind of one last catch-all question. So if there's somebody sitting out there right now, they've got an idea, they wanna start a new business, side hustle, but kind of fear taking that first step, what advice do you have for them? I'll let you guys go however order you want.
I'm not gonna take, I'm sorry.
And other catch-all, if you had something you wanted to say we haven't gotten to yet, go ahead and say that too.
Yeah.
I'll start real quick. If there's something that, or a side hustle, or business, or an endeavor that you want to start, by all means, and it sounds so cliche, just do it. Like, you like Nike, just do it. It sounds so cliche, and it is. Will you fail? Who knows? More than likely, we all have to start somewhere. Just start. Just do it. Because I think I heard it was a quote from Floyd Mayweather. He was like, "You playing small serves absolutely nobody. You playing small serves no one. Everyone here is an idea, or it's kind of like Matt said, we're all entrepreneurs. We're here because this was somebody's idea. The shirt you're wearing was somebody's idea that you wear. The phone, it was all someone's idea at one point in time. It says that the grave or the cemetery is the richest place on earth. Because I hear that all the time, because it's filled with ideas that never came out, with things that people wanted to do, and they just never made it happen. So I'm like, you know what, we only get one life to live, like why not? Like, let's just try it, let's see what happens. If it fails, so what, at least you tried. The worst thing you can do is not try and look back like, man, I knew I should have tried that business. I had a really good idea about that. Oh, then somebody else, man, it took my idea. Like, but you had it like 20, 30 years ago or whatever. You just try it, like why not? Like, just see what happens. If it works out, cool. If not, hey, at least you tried, you know? So just take a chance on yourself. If you got an idea, go for it. Talk to somebody about it. Go to the resource, use your resources around you. And I'm still learning. I'm learning from everybody. I'm learning from all you guys, everyone in here. At some point in time, I've had a chance to interact with a few of you guys, and I'm still learning constantly from this panel. I've had a chance to see these guys up here before. I can't believe I was on the panel too. I was like, I can't believe I'm up here with these guys. But I'm just like everybody here. Like, I want to learn as well. I'm trying my best to any resource I can do, and any way I can help out and be of service to anybody here at all. I definitely want to be that resource too. And I'm constantly learning, and just be a sponge. Soak it up, ask questions, watch YouTube videos, talk to your banker, come holler at me. And whatever it is, just go for it, guys. So we only got one life to live, and us playing small serves absolutely nobody. So just go for it. That's all I can say. So,
If you wait for conditions to be perfect or the stars to align,
Just an excuse.
how many of us out there are married, have kids, and you said, oh, we'll get married when we get that, when we can buy our first house, or we'll be able to have kids when we get that. It'll never be right. You've got to push yourself outside your comfort zone to take a risk. It is a side hustle, but it's not risk-free, right?
no, absolutely not.
Certainly not risk-free. There are risks such, so I mean, if you wait, I mean, I remember when we had the pizza, like, I mean, I've been training my staff for the pizza trailer, like, we're just doing the same thing every week. It's like, are we gonna do it this week? I'm like, I'm not ready. It's not, you know, we need to fix this. And, you know, my cousin, who was a chef, who was kind of consultant and helping, he's like, you just gotta do it, dude. You just gotta do it. And, I mean, some of the best guys that we got.
One of the things we did in 1964, I was 10 years old, my brothers were 11 and 12. We were repairing bicycles and tricycles in our garage, and we discovered something, that if you take a tricycle and if you take the handlebars off, the front yoke off, and the front wheel off, and the seat out, you flip it over and put it right back together again, so the handlebars and the wheel are down there, you get instead of the frame bowing up where the seat is, it bows down to the rear wheels.
The low rudder.
And that became Hasbro's Big Wheel. And we never marketed it. It's identical to it. And we were just building them for the kids on our block and
At 10 years old?
At 10 years old, we were taking them apart and flipping them around and putting them back together. And we don't know how Hasbro got a hold of it, but they did. And it may have been something on their drawing board years earlier, I don't know. I always wondered about that. So, take a chance.
I would say for Scott and I, before we wanted to leave our jobs and be able to commit just full-time to the winery, was wanting some stability. We wanted to start our family. We'd been married for several years when we left our regular jobs, and starting a business and taking that leap is really scary. And so I wanted a house that was paid for and a vehicle that was paid for. And we paid cash for a not very old, but an older model mobile home. Like, I want a place to live that I don't owe any money on. So we did that, and we paid off our vehicle, and that gave us some stability of not knowing what's gonna happen with the winery. And let me tell you, during COVID, when the government shut us down, I was so thankful that we had the forethought to do that, to put that money into there and say, we are gonna have a place to live no matter what, and we are gonna have something to drive no matter what. And when we got shut down, that was really scary. And I'm just really glad that we made that like financial decision early on to not spend that money on something else, or say we can take this money and do these other things, but to say we're gonna have a place to live and we're gonna have a vehicle to drive. Because if we had to shut down during COVID, that we'd have been getting other jobs, and we had a new baby, and there was just a lot happening. And I was really glad that we had built that stability into our life before quitting the other jobs. And so if you're at that cusp of gonna jump in, just that might be something to plan for, is how long, kind of like y'all did, like how long can we do this before it's time to do something else? And then also to touch on, having kids is hard doing this. So I answer the phone primarily for, like, we've all settled into different roles, which are not really the roles that we started out with, but we've sort of found what works best for us, like as a family and as a business. And one of my main jobs within the business is to answer the phone. And I have kids that are 6, 4, and 1.5 years. It's noisy at my house. And I have answered the phone many times during bath time, because I don't want to miss a call of someone asking if I can seat a party of 20. Yes, please come. I don't want to not answer the phone and have them go somewhere else. And so I have answered the phone and said, Naka Valley Vineyard, this is Chelsea. I promise no one is getting murdered right now. I'm breaking up a fight. Don't call me back in 5 minutes. It's not gonna be better. I'm gonna step out of the room, but this is what's going on. And so that's part of having the family business too, or a side gig or whatever, is your life is happening while you're doing that. And so that's been a little crazy. So just, yeah, the kid thing. And sometimes the kids like to work at the winery.
I agree with all that. What I'm about to say sounds contradicting what Brent said. It's not, it's just different verbiage. I believe in making the right decision at the right time. So I like to tell people. So if you're thinking, like, if you have that fear of what am I gonna do, yes, do it. But have your things in place before you do it.
Oh, for sure.
Make sure that ship you're gonna jump on is like gonna float, not just plug holes on the way. So sometimes it's the right decision, but it's not the right time. And I've learned that a lot at Brendan's Barbecue. Like, oh, we should be doing XYZ. We should have this. Well, I can't afford that, and I would just put me in more debt. And Nacogdoches isn't ready for that. I don't have the team to train to do that. It would just fall apart. So make the right decision at the right time. I want to touch on the question real quick. The thing I learned doing the side hustle of being an entrepreneur that I was not ready for, it's like when somebody tries to tell you when you have a kid, oh, when you hear your baby cry for the first time, they try to, it's like being a dad, and you can't really teach anybody how to be a dad or explain it to them until they experience it. The mental work you do when having Brendan's Barbecue is all I do, this never turns off. I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, think about Brendan's Barbecue. I'll be on my phone from 3 to 5 a.m. just thinking. It's unhealthy and healthy. It's something to work through, but you never stop working internally. I've just had to adapt to that. Nobody cares about your business the way you do. That's okay. That used to piss me off. That's okay. they shouldn't care about your business more than you do. And they shouldn't care about the business as much as you do. And if they do, they're probably an entrepreneur. They're probably gonna go do their own thing.
And help them do it.
Yeah, what's that?
Help them do it.
Yeah, help them do it, exactly. Being an entrepreneur is, I think we all say, and I hear every entrepreneur say, they tell the ugly story, and I'll tell you mine. The first year of owning Brendan's Barbecue was scary. I had to account for not being paid in summers because I needed employees to keep their job, and if I can't pay them, then they quit, and I have nobody work for me. So I would accrue my money to where in the summer I didn't get paid. I paid myself out of savings, and I would pay them hours to work, even though the sales weren't there. The first year, I missed my son growing up. 4 days of the week. I remember one Saturday morning holding him, and I'll try not to cry. His face had changed so much, and it broke me. I remember crying at 5 a.m. When Brendan's Barbecue opened, I would work from 6 a.m. to midnight. From midnight to 4 a.m., I'd be up every 45 minutes tending to the pit and prepping with a newborn kid. So I would sleep in my recliner with the baby. That was the only time I got with my son. And it was, when I told you it was awful, it was awful. I missed him growing up. And so my business plan had to change. I was like, well, I love doing Brendan's Barbecue. This has to change. And so I've learned that family is gonna suffer for the business, and that's expected, and that's normal, and that's okay. And there's a time in life when business is gonna suffer for the family. If at any point the family is suffering longer than the business suffers, that's not okay. And I've learned that the hard way in the first couple of years. And so we got through that. But it is ugly opening. It's a lot of risk. It's a lot of work. And then to follow up with that, I wouldn't do it any differently. I've heard every entrepreneur say once they do it, if that failed, they would just do it again doing something different. They'll never go work for somebody else. And that's so true. I mean, I love what I do. I love the opportunity I provide for people. I love that the opportunity I seize and what it brought to me. And I love what I get to do for my kids. It was a burden and scary risk and awful in the beginning, but long term, it's so worth it. That's my advice. Do it. Make the right decision at the right time. And once you do it, you won't go back.
It's not a blind trust.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me thank our panel for being here. Just as a follow-up, on the agenda that you have in front of you is a QR code that takes you to a survey. That survey is more than just, hey, how did we do tonight? We're interested in that. But on that survey, it also asks you what other types of business development seminars would you like to have. We have a committee that gets together and we take that feedback and we plan the next one. So right now we're trying to think of the next one we'll do, which I guess would probably be in December, January-ish. And so let us know, what do you want to hear about? What types of topics will help you? So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our sponsors again. And I'm sure the panel will be around for a few minutes if we have some specific questions for them. That's kind of why we're all here. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.